What's up, Soupy Sales fans? I am back with some comic reviews, and as always, they're brought to you by my own products. Red Knight, the new trade paperback, is out, available in digital and print on manospublishing.com. And let's get going to other comics. We have a lot to talk about. This is the last 2 weeks. I picked up and read this week's comics. I'll be doing a review for those in just a few days. So, hey, what I picked up over the last 2 weeks was Dark Web #1, Miles Morales Spider-Man #1, Captain Marvel 44, Daredevil 6, Fantastic Four 2, Batgirl's Annual 2022, and The Dead Lucky #4. There we go. And let's get going with some comics here. Now, the big release, I guess, was the event book, which features, Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, X-Men, all talking about stuff. Anyway, this is that guy, Ben Reilly. Remember him? He became fake Spider-Man for a while, and then Scarlet Spider, and fake Spider-Man again, and now he's Chasm, or something like that. I don't know, it's not the best name. And it's not the best costume, and he's not the best Spider-Man. And but hey, he's a person, and his memories were all stolen from him, and he's wildly confused, and he's kind of been blaming Peter Parker for it. And if you watch, like, Ghost in the Shell, you kind of get the idea that maybe if someone just pulls all your memories out of your head, what does that leave you as a person? And he has this kind of nightmare where he and his girlfriend, Janie, are walking down the street, and a maniacal Peter Parker and Mary Jane walk up laughing like the Joker and start pulling his face off and stuff like that. Really creepy scene. And that brings him to Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, who also is going through her own identity crisis. As always, that's pretty much her general problem, is that she's a clone of Jean Grey, and she has all these powers and demon powers and shit like that. So they decide to team up, and she can reward him. They're working with Eddie Brock Venom. I haven't been reading Venom because I never read Venom, but he has his own thing going on that's been leading up into this arc as well. I think he has been killed and replaced by his son currently. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it. By the way, lovely shot. This is, by the way, forgot to mention, this is Zeb Wells and one of the Kubrick boys, which I think this is Adam Kubrick. Let's see who's doing the art. Probably should have mentioned that beforehand. Adam Kubrick. Some lovely pages in this, by the way. It's really nice. This actually reminds me of Tim Sale Spider-Man's work. Really, really good work. So anyway, all starts going crazy where, demons and goblins start showing up in New York, and Scott and Jean instantly know it's the Goblin Queen. It's just this is her MO. It's like getting riddles, in the middle of town square with clowns. It's like, oh, okay, this asshole. I know what we're dealing with. So anyway, Chasm shows up to attack Norman Osborn, who's doing his best to be a good boy, and he beats the shit out of him. So not too bad. So anyway, this ends with Eddie Brock Venom showing up and really wanting to eat Spider-Man's brains. So he's kind of regressed, from what I understand. So not a bad start. I'm going to probably give this 4 out of 5 RAM chips. Pretty decent start for this series. Where am I putting these comics? I'm going to put them down here. So, hey, art's really nice, too. Hey, Miles Morales Spider-Man. Now, we got a new team working on the book, and it's, let's see, what's this guy's name? Ziegler? Cody Ziegler, and the artist on this is Federico Vincentini, who I've liked in the past, and holy crap. First off, this is gorgeous. And also, they didn't waste 1 second switching from the mediocre costume Miles had for the last year to back to his original one. They just gave it back to him. Who cares? Let's not do a whole arc and shit like that, or some fake reason. Let's just give it the costume back. It looks better, and this art is absolutely gorgeous. We see him save this woman during this attack from the Scorpion, who's doing his usual stupid shit. Oh, anyway, they have this really spectacular fight. Absolutely gorgeous art, by the way. Nicely fast-paced, written, but of course that makes Miles late for school. He gets back and Gank is now helping him out, and he pulls off his mask, got a big black eye. He's late for school, and he's got a black eye, and his teacher reminds him, like, you were here at this, like, very high-priced school on a lottery system. You were lucky to be here, and here you are doing this shit. Oh, and of course he's going through some pressure, and there's really wonderful, probably one of the best moments in the comic is he calls his parents. His parents know he's Spider-Man, so he can actually talk to them about shit. And he talks to them on the phone, and he kind of gets emotional and starts crying. Like, you know, he's just under a lot of pressure, as a teenage superhero usually is. And it's usually not kind of like dealt with, at least in comics. But, man, this is really some nice stuff. So anyway, he runs into a low-grade Bumblebee villain, and kicks his ass, and he finds out that the villain, had, his weapons were kind of souped up more than normal, and we discover that it was actually the woman that he saved earlier, previously in the issue. And I think it's hinting that, she has something out for Miles and Spider-Man, so we'll see about that. Excellent first start. This is really, the art is absolutely gorgeous and fast-paced and nice and detailed, and the writing is really sharp and crisp. I like how we didn't waste any time getting the old costume back on him. Like, let's just put the old costume back on him. 5 out of 5 Ram Chips. Really great comic. Okay, so back to Captain Marvel and issue 44. This is Kelly Thompson and let's see, Sergio Davila. And last we left our Captain, Spider-Woman, and a bunch of X-Men go out, with Gambit of course, go out to rescue Rogue because she sent out a distress call. She's in space. They find her possessed by the Brood, the alien ripoff thing Marvel had before they actually can do aliens, and that leads to a fight. And you know what's cool about having a fight with someone possessed who's an X-Men is you can kill them and they'll just be resurrected. And that's kind of what they do. They save Rogue from this Brood by getting her killed, and she's going to pop up back on Krakoa with a new body. But that leads them onto this, further mission. Taking out the Brood, and it looks like it goes well. Everybody's celebrating, and that's not really what's happening. They were under mind control during the celebration. So really good second part to this. Very interested. I think this is going to cross over a little bit with one of the X-Men titles, one of the 50 X-Men titles that exist. I guess I got to buy that next week. If it hasn't already come out, I better check. I probably maybe overlooked it. So really nice stuff from Kelly Thompson and crew. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Ram Chips. Nice strong 4 Ram Chips. So, hey, we're back to Daredevil, and this is issue 6 by Chip Zdarsky, and Rafael De La Torre is doing the art. And this is mostly focusing on Daredevil, and Daredevil Elektra broke out a whole bunch of supervillains. And they mean to sort of use them as sort of a Suicide Squad type of thing to fight the Hand, and also to give them a second chance at life. And we get to see them kind of, hey, it's Identity Crisis. They talk to them and, try and, get to see what they want. Bullet is interesting. Bullet's one of my favorite, underused Daredevil villains. And he kind of reminds me of Dennis Franz. I don't know. There's just something about this guy I've always liked. His son is dead, and, he's asked, what do you want more than anything? And he's like, well, my son back. I'm like, well, okay, is there anything else you want? Because we can do that. And he's really kind of bitter and kind of realistic. Like, hey, what? Am I just going to go back on the streets? I'm wanted I'm wanted in America. It's not like you can just take me from prison and, I do this thing for you and, everything goes back to normal for me. And Matt's kind of angry because he's kind of right. Meanwhile, Elektra goes on a mission, and it's to see if some of the world leaders are possessed by the Hand. Essentially, that's something they've been let in on recently, that the Hand has actually been taking over kind of surgically by, by like having, either possessing or just replacing world leaders, and she goes to visit one. By the way, the scene does not tell us which world leader this is, what country he's a leader of. They're very kind of like vague about it. But she goes in, and she basically looks like she's attacking. Iron Man shows up to save the day, but she's actually able to defeat him with a weapon that he created for her, by the way, ironically. Then she turns around and kills this guy. Kills this, this apparent world leader, who, by the way, in front of everyone, let's see, like fades away like the hand people do. So, I mean, that's caught on camera. So, I mean, yeah, she caught killing a world leader, but the world leader turns to ash like the hand does. So, we'll see where this goes. But definitely that turned up the heat. Because, yeah, the Avengers weren't pissed at them enough. Now that they're attacking world leaders, I think that's really kind of turned up the problems for them. I'm very curious to see where this war with the hand is going, because they seem to be hitting some notes that suggest we are going to get some like serious problems up ahead. So I'm going to give that 5 out of 5 Ram Chips. Really good stuff. Fantastic Four, number 2, by Ryan North. And let's see, who's doing the art on this book? Let's see. I've been, let's see, Corello? I'm not familiar with his work, but really nice. Ryan North also is famously the writer of, like, Squirrel Girl, for instance, I think. Lindsay, you're a big fan. Mm-hmm. And he has actually done this interesting thing. He's actually doing something similar that Zeb Wells did with Spider-Man, where something our heroes did that we're not being told, and we're seeing them kind of, like, live in the aftermath of it, and it's kind of building partly in the mystery of that. We're sort of doing that with Fantastic Four, but we're taking advantage of the fact that it's a group, and, the first issue dealt with The Thing and Alicia. Now we're dealing with Reed and Sue, and they're also, like, out and traveling, and they're in this small town. They're recognized at this diner, like, as, Reed and Sue, and the waitress and everyone in the diner turned into Doombots at the sight of them. Like, hey, aren't you Reed and Sue Richards? Like, yes, we are. Well, boosh, they turn into to Doombots and start attacking. That's when, kind of like, halfway through the fight, like, they just stop and revert back, which is very confusing to our heroes. The sheriff shows up and says, hey, you guys are causing trouble. You probably should get going out of town. And Reed and Sue, of course, like, well, we're obviously going back. So they turn invisible and head back. Reed does something I've never seen him do. He reshapes his face as a disguise, like, to make him more meaty looking, like more of like a bruiser type of guy. I've never seen him do this before, but it's really interesting. So they go in to investigate, and very similar to the Thing issue, actually, is they find that this town has been affected by one person. And sure enough, that's actually the same thing going on in this. And I am wondering if that is, like, just a coincidence of stories, or is North really specifically doing something with this? It has a lot to do with this old woman, and I'm not really going to kind of break into, what her deal is and what the town's deal is involving her. But it's actually turns into a rather touching mystery, with a little comedy, by the way. Yeah, I liked it. And, man, I really love that North has been doing this more personal stuff wrapped around a mystery. And, each one of the stories has, like, some hard sci-fi to it. Very Twilight Zone-y vibes, to be honest. Which is, that's, Fantastic Four came out of, like, the Kennedy-era sci-fi wave. And I love it when writers kind of remember that, and I'm digging this so far. So I'm going to give this 5 out of 5 Ram Chips, and really digging it. I'm very curious to see where North is going with this arc. So, hey, let's move on from Marvel. We got my one DC comic I read, and it is Batgirls, and this is the annual, and finally DC has done something I feel like Marvel and DC should have done for years, is just call the annuals after the years, because for a while Marvel and DC were doing these numbered, it's annual 6, annual 7 of, Batman or Spider-Man and stuff. And Marvel, because they keep renumbering their books, have annuals #1 every year and shit like that. And it's like, you know what? That's stupid. Let's just call them like this, and hopefully this will catch on with their annuals. Maybe Marvel will like look at that and go, oh, maybe we should just do that. Anyway, this is by the usual team. This is Becky Cloonan, and let's see, this book. Okay, it's Becky Cloonan, Michael Conrad are doing the story. Robbie Rodriguez is doing the art, and focus is on Batgirl and Batgirl, Cassandra and Stephanie, and it is kind of like a little bit of a comedy story about them switching bodies, and they save a woman. Well, actually, Stephanie saves the cat of an old lady, and she gives her a coin as a reward, and they get in that Freaky Friday argument about, you have it better than me and stuff like that, and they flip a coin, and it lands on its side, and then they wake up the next morning in each other's bodies. So that leaves kind of this mystery for Barbara Gordon to deal with, like, oh fuck, these stupid kids switched bodies. Okay, let me figure out what's going on. You go do your usual Batgirl things. I'm sure that'll be safe. And that's exactly what they do. They go out and like do their own Batgirl stuff, which of course gets them instantly in trouble. Probably not a good idea. Maybe you should just stay put. And we'll find out, by the way, this is a spoiler for next issue. Yeah, that's what they should have totally done. Anyway, but they end up kidnapped by different people, and they're kidnapped by each other's parents. We had that clue a couple of issues ago that Stephanie's dad, Clue Master, is actually still alive, and Cassandra is kidnapped by her mom, Lady Shiva. Of course, they're in each other's bodies, so Lady Shiva accidentally grabs Stephanie in Cassandra's body, and Clue Master grabs Cassandra in Stephanie's body by mistake. And let's see, that kind of leads us at the cliffhanger here. And what I'm a little confused by is, I don't think I've ever seen this before, is this story isn't done. This is part 1, and part 2 is in the next issue of the regular series, and I've never seen that before. Like, usually you kind of roll up the story in one, or you do it in like other annuals. But I've never seen part 1 in an annual and then part 2 in the regular series. So what if you just skip the annual? Then you're going, what the hell am I doing? Like, what's going on? Why are they in each other's bodies? I guess there was another reboot, I suppose. But anyway, not bad. I'm going to give this probably 4 out of 5 Ram Chips. A decent start to a story. And I'm going to end up with The Dead Lucky from Image. And who does this book? It is, let's see, Melissa Flores and French, let's see, Carlo Magno. And let's see, Bibi is kind of a reluctant superhero. She has this armor that is sort of protecting this version of San Francisco. I think it's in the present day, but it's like kind of an alternate present where, or actually maybe it's not an alternate present, where this corporation has basically taken over San Francisco, and they kind of run it like a police state. And let's see, this other woman, let's see, Maria, who was in charge of kind of bringing her in, kind of dropped the ball, and she's been fired, and she ends up kind of like becoming friends with her during the course of this. This is a really good issue because she is, Bibi is a veteran, and she definitely has some trauma dealing with, let's see, her tour in Afghanistan, where apparently her closest friends in her battalion had died, and she's still kind of dealing with it. And she's dealing with it like as this superhero, the Dead Lucky. And we get kind of like a little backstory on this one, by the way. But she kind of like, gets with her friends in Maria to, kind of like regroup here. And they decide to start taking measures against, the bad guys here running San Francisco. So not bad. I think the story's progressing pretty decently. And kind of dug this backstory. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Ram Chips. Not too bad. If this might be flying under your radar, you may want to pick it up if you're looking for like a new type of superhero book. So, hey, that's it for now. I talked a lot. Next episode, I'm just going to talk about the books I picked up this week, and that was only like 3 books, so it'll be a lot less blah, 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 blah. So, hey, if you want to pick up my book, it's available at manospublishing.com for just a few bucks. 25 bucks. But the digital is a lot cheaper. So, hey, I think that's it. You can follow me on digital platforms. I am at Tumblr, Facebook, I think Twitter still exists, and TikTok. So, I think that's it. Pretty much done. I think we're done. Are you done, Lindsay? Let's get to...
I think I'm done.
Okay, let's get some movies and hot chocolate. All right.
Yay.
Push the button, Lindsay.